bringing the knees in front of you, letting the crown reach up towards the sky. Drop the right knee and stack the left knee on top of it. It's okay if they don't touch. We're going to stack our arms like we would in eagle pose, but our arms are going to be in the opposite direction of our legs. So since our legs are here, we're going to put our right arm over top. Stretch your arms out to your sides and stack the elbows as we come into eagle arms, bringing the shoulders behind you, dropping the elbows to the floor. Release the arms, release the legs, switching positions. Left leg is on the bottom, the right knee is on top. Extend the arms out to the sides as the left elbow stacks on top of the right arm, dropping the elbows towards the floor, keeping the shoulders open. Releasing the arms and releasing the legs. Just stacking the calves on top of each other. Inhale the shoulders up towards the ears and relax the chin down towards the chest as the crown reaches up towards the ceiling. Breathing into the back body and then coming forward onto our chest to prepare for half frog. Half frog will help us open up our chest in the front of our thighs. Inhale, keeping the shoulders open and behind you. Keeping the elbows stacked underneath your shoulders. Inhale and exhale, bend the right knee, reaching back with the right hand, pressing the palm down on the shin and trying to sneak the toes into the underarm, or maybe even the elbow. Resting the palm on top of the calf, and then releasing that leg long. Bring the right arm underneath you, bending the left knee, reaching back with your left arm, pressing the palm into the calf. Resting the toes and the elbow. And then releasing. Bring your knees bent. Shift the hips to the left, roll over to the right side, pressing up with the left hand. Then coming onto our knees to prepare for camel pose and open up our chest. Inhale and exhale, cinch the hip points together, raise the right hand, and reach back towards the left ankle. Pressing the pelvis forward, reaching the torso towards the sky, and reaching back through the right hand. Exhale, keeping strong through the hips and cinching the hip points to come back to standing on your knees. Dropping the right hand. Inhale and exhale, raising the left hand towards the sky. Cinching the hip points together and reaching back towards the right ankle, resting the right hand. Stretching back through the left arm, pressing the pelvis forward. And then inhale and exhale, coming back up to center. Pressing back onto our hands and knees, curl the toes under as we press into our down dog. Press the seat up towards the sky, raise the right leg up towards the ceiling, and then slowly start to let it drop towards the left side as we come into our wild thing, reaching back through the right hand. Inhale and exhale, bringing the right hand back to the floor, raising the right leg back up towards the sky, and dropping back into the down dog. Making sure to release the neck of any tension. Inhale and exhale, raise the left leg up towards the sky, dropping it over towards the right side behind you, and stretching the left arm, reaching behind you into the wild thing on the other side. Inhale and exhale, dropping the left arm to the floor, raising the left leg up back towards the sky, and dropping back into the down dog. As we drop the knees to the floor, starting out lying on your back, bring the chin towards the chest and bring the shoulders underneath you so that your chest is stacked on your shoulders. Rest the palms facing towards the sky, pressing up through the torso towards the sky to come into fish pose. Then releasing the back flat to the ground. Starting out in a seated position, stack the legs on top of each other. Inhaling through the nose, lifting the shoulders up towards the ears, and letting them drop back behind you as the crown of the head rises towards the ceiling and the chin drops towards the chest. Slowly start to rotate your torso to the left, putting your right hand upon your left knee. Inhaling up through the crown, and then exhaling, squeezing the abdominals, and looking behind your left shoulder, coming into a seated spinal twist. Then coming back to center. Inhale up through the crown, dropping the chin. Rotate the torso to the right, putting the left hand upon the right knee. Inhaling up through the crown and exhaling, engaging the abdominals. Pressing all the air out of the diaphragm as you look over the shoulder. And then coming back to center. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. The feet become flat. Inhale and exhale, cinch the frontal hip points together. And then press up through the hands. Breathing in this pose, pressing back into our cobra, and then dropping the chest to rest down on the floor. Inhale and exhale, cinch the frontal hip points together, pressing up through the hands one more time for the cobra. And then relaxing the chest down onto the floor. Bring the right leg about a leg's width apart behind you. Drop the foot at an angle. Bring the hands to the hips and shift the hips to the right side. Slowly walk the left hand down the thigh, and finally to support upon the shin or maybe even the floor. Revolve the torso in front of you and raise the right hand towards the sky, maybe even shifting your gaze towards the ceiling. Drop the right hand to meet the left hand. Both hands come to the floor. The back foot revolves forward as the left foot steps back into down dog. Pressing the seat up towards the sky, pressing through the arms as the right foot comes forward between the hands and the back left foot drops at an angle. Bringing the hands to the hips, shift the hips to the left. As the right hand trails down the thigh and supports upon the shin or maybe even the floor. Bring the left hand up towards the sky and shift your gaze towards your hand. Drop the left hand down to the floor, bringing the front leg back to down dog, dropping the knees and uncurling the toes to sit back on the seat. Come onto your hands and knees. Inhale, raising the right arm above you, and then exhale, threading that arm behind your left hand, dropping the elbow and the temple to the ground, and walking the left hand forward. Inhaling into the back body, and then pressing up through the hands, bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, coming back to our hands and knees. Inhale, lifting the left hand up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, sweeping that left hand behind the right arm, and spidering the fingertips up in front of you, resting the temple on the floor, and inhaling into the back body, letting the shoulder blades expand across the back, and then pressing up through the hand and coming back to our hands and knees. Coming back onto our seat to prepare for a seated forward fold. Bringing the legs out in front of you, flex your feet, inhale up, letting the crown rise up towards the ceiling as the chin drops towards the chest. Keeping the shoulders back, keeping the chest open, inhaling, rising the crown up, and then exhale, bringing the chest forward, spidering the hands towards the feet. Inhale, coming back up, and exhaling, coming deeper. Being sure to breathe. Inhale up, and then exhale, maybe even lifting the belly up over the thighs, coming deeper into your forward fold. Step the right leg back about a leg's width apart. We're going to imagine that we're spreading the ground apart with our feet. Engage the legs by lifting the toes, lifting the kneecaps, and spreading the mat apart with your feet. This action really helps engage our abductors. Start bending in the knees and turn the feet out away from you, making sure that the knees are stacked above the ankles, and engage in the core and bring your arms out to the side and maybe even overhead. Sitting down into our goddess pose, inhaling and exhaling, keeping the abdominals tight, and then standing up. Shift the hips to the left, roll over onto the right side as you press up with your left hand. We're going to come up to the top of our mat and prepare for a mountain pose. Feet are hip distance apart and the spine comes into a neutral position. Shoulders come up towards the ears and relax down the spine as the chin drops towards the chest and the crown rises towards the ceiling. Bring a bend in the knees, letting the hands slide down the thighs and eventually touching the floor. Let the seat come towards the ceiling, bend in the knees, and step the right foot back. Drop the right foot at an angle as you bend in the left knee. Try to lift the toes, lift the kneecap, and engage in the glutes. Bring the hands to the left knee. Keep the torso pointed ahead of you. Bring the hands out to the sides and raise them up towards the sky if you want to. And keeping the knee bent, Sit deeper into your warrior one. Inhale and exhale, keeping the glutes engaged. Cinch the frontal hip points together so that you create stability and balance in this pose. Bring the hands to the knee, then bending in the knees, touch the ground. Step the back leg forward. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, raise the seat towards the ceiling. Bend in the knees and step the left foot back, keeping the heel raised if you need to. Keeping the knees bent. Inhale and exhale. Cinch the frontal hip points together. Bring the hands to the knee. Keep the back foot at an angle. Inhale and exhale, cinching the frontal hip points together, keeping the abdominals engaged. Hands to the side, and then raise towards the ceiling. Inhale and exhale, sitting deeper into your warrior one, making sure that the shoulders don't create any unnecessary tension in the neck. Bring the shoulders behind you, maybe even in a cactus pose. Bring the hands to the knees, and then the floor. Bend in the knee and step forward. We're going to come to sitting on the ground, and we're going to prepare for our wide leg forward fold. Sitting on the ground, we're going to bring our legs out wide, making sure to flex the feet, bringing the hands in front of you. Inhale up, and then exhale, spidering the hands away to come deeper into our forward fold. Inhale up, rising through the crown of the head, and then bowing once more forward, and maybe coming to your elbows. Try not to let the neck become tense, keeping the shoulders relaxed down the spine. Breathe in through the nose and exhaling through the nose, letting each breath be longer than the last. Inhale and exhale, shifting the weight onto our left foot, maybe raising the toes. Bring the right foot to the tippy toes. And inhale and exhale, engage in the core. Bring the right foot to the right hand. Inhale the left hand towards the sky. Engage in the belly and press that right foot into the right hand to come into your dancer as we bend forward. Inhale and exhale, and then releasing the foot towards the floor. Shift to the right side. Inhale the right arm up. Come onto the left tippy toes as we bend the left knee and grab it with our left hand. Inhale, right arm up, and exhale, pressing that left leg into the left hand as we bend forward into our dancer. And then releasing the leg. Stretch the legs out in front of you. Bend the left leg so that the foot comes to the inner thigh of the right leg. Inhale up, crown towards the ceiling. Exhale, coming down towards the knee, keeping the feet flexed. Inhale up and exhale, coming down deeper, trying to get the head to the knee. Inhale into the back body, feeling the back rise, and exhale. Coming back up, let the left leg become long. Bend the right leg so that the foot comes towards the inner thigh. Inhale up, the crown comes towards the ceiling, and exhale, coming down so that the head reaches towards the left foot, keeping the feet flexed. Inhale up, and then exhale, pulling the belly up over the thigh as the head comes more towards the knee, making sure that the neck is loose of any tension. Inhale and exhale. We're going to bring our feet together. Start shifting the weight onto your right foot, bringing your left foot to a tippy toe. The hands come to the hips. Find one spot to look at in front of you. We call this a dristi. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling, engaging the core, coming up to the tippy toes on the left foot, finding a comfortable spot on the right leg for the left foot to be placed. We're going to bring our hands out to our sides or maybe above you, or we can bring them to prayer pose. Making sure to keep the shoulders free of any tension. Release the left foot back to the ground and start shifting your weight over to your left side. Lifting the right foot to your tippy toes. Bring the hands to the hips. Inhale and exhale, engaging the core, finding a nice balance on the left leg, and eventually bringing the right foot to a comfortable position on your left leg. The hands come out to the sides or overhead or in prayer position. Release the right foot to the floor. Inhale and exhale, raising the right leg up behind you, coming into a standing split. Walk that foot forward in front of the left foot. Inhale and exhale, bringing the left foot behind you up towards the sky. And then stepping the left foot in front of the right foot, bringing the feet together, bending in the knees, and then we come to standing. We're going to come back to mountain to the top of our mat, bending in the knees, letting the hands slide down the thighs, and eventually coming to the floor. Bend in the knees, and take a step back to come into our down dog, letting the seat come towards the sky and pressing back through the hands. Bending in the right knee, sweep it forward, and let the left knee drop, and slide it back to come into our pigeon pose. If you want, you can slide a pillow underneath your hips to make this pose more accessible. We're going to keep our hips square and keep them dropping down. Curling the left foot under and pressing back into our down dog, bending in the left knee and sweeping it forward, dropping the right knee and coming into our pigeon pose on the opposite side. Keeping the hips square and feeling a nice sensation in the left side. Curling the right toes under, pressing back into the down dog. Bring your elbows underneath your chest to come into Sphinx pose. Not using any muscles, just resting in this position, keeping the shoulders away from the neck. Release the chest to the floor, bending in the right knee. Inhaling, grab back with your right hand. Inhale and exhale, cinching the frontal hip points together to strengthen the abdomen, and press back into your hand with the right foot to come up for your half bow pose. Release the leg to the floor. Take a breath and inhale, letting the shoulder blades glide across the back. And exhale, bending in the left leg. Reach back with your left hand. Inhale and exhale, cinch the frontal hip points together and press back into that left hand. Release the leg. Bring the knees to a 90-degree angle, grab behind the right thigh, and extend the right leg towards the ceiling. Inhale, then exhale, bring the right leg towards your face, keeping the feet flexed. Inhale, letting the belly get big, and exhale, trying to bring the right leg towards the face some more. Maybe extending the left leg long, seeing how this feels. Inhale, letting the belly rise, and exhale, bring the right leg towards the face, feeling a nice deep stretch, and then releasing the right leg back into a 90-degree angle. Inhale through the nose, grab behind the left leg, and extend the left leg long. Inhale, letting the belly get large. Exhaling, bringing the left leg towards the face, feeling a nice stretch along the hamstring. Inhale, releasing slightly, and then exhale, pulling the leg towards your face a little bit more. Release the right leg long if you feel comfortable. One more breath cycle here. Inhale, letting the diaphragm rise, and exhale, letting the left leg come towards the face some more, getting that nice final stretch there, and then dropping the leg back at a 90-degree angle. Extend the legs long, letting the hands come alongside your body at a tripod position. Bending in the knees and stepping the front leg back to come into downward dog. Step the left foot forward and drop the knee to the floor. Bring both hands to rest upon the front knee. Release the back toes to make sure that they rest flat upon the floor. And keeping the core engaged here to make sure that you find your balance and stay strong. Bend in the front knee, feeling a nice deep stretch in the hips. And then pressing back, making that left leg straight. Inhale up, and then exhale, bringing the face towards the knee just a little. Bending into the left leg again, keeping strong in the core, and getting that nice stretch in the hips. Curl under the toes, and drop the hands to the floor, and step back into your down dog. Bring the right foot forward, and drop the back knee, bringing the foot flat, bringing the hands to the front knee, engaging in the core, keeping strong to keep your balance here, and bending in that knee a little bit more, feeling that stretch in the hip. And then pressing back, letting the right leg become straight. Inhaling up and then exhaling down. Feel that nice stretch in your hamstring. And then bending in your right knee, getting that nice juicy stretch in the hip. Bring the hands back down to the floor and bring the leg back. Step into your down dog. Coming back up to the top of the mat, step the right foot back behind you and bending in the front knee, bring the hands to the front knee and rest the left elbow, revolving the torso towards the front wall, bringing the hands into a prayer position, pressing the hands apart so that we can keep the torso lifted. Try to lift the toes, keep the leg engaged by lifting the knee and engaging in the glute, and then bringing the hands back to rest upon the knee, then bringing the hands back to the floor, bending in the front knee, bring the right leg forward, inhale and exhale, resting the chest on the belly. Raise the seat up towards the ceiling, bend in the knees, and step the left foot back, drop the foot at an angle, and bring the hands to the knee. Revolve the torso towards your left side, and rest your right elbow upon your knee, bringing the hands together in a prayer position. Remembering to press the hands apart to keep the torso lifted, and so that we keep the neck free of any unnecessary tension. Inhale through the nose and exhale, keeping strong through the leg, lifting the kneecap and engaging in the glute. Maybe even trying to lift the toes and spread that mat apart with your feet. Taking a nice deep inhale here and then exhaling, releasing the hands back to the front knee, then dropping the hands back down to the floor. Letting the calves become engaged. And then slowly bending in the knees, maybe bringing the hands out in front of you and trying to slowly just come into a seated position. And once you get to the bottom, you might find your seat wanting to meet your ankles, but we're going to try to lift up and keep on our tippy toes. Starting out, lying on the back, keeping the knees bent, place your hands on your rib cage. Inhale through the nose, letting the diaphragm expand into your hands, and exhaling through the nose, keeping the breath nice, deep, and long. Stack the right ankle on top of the left knee. Grab behind your left thigh, inhale, and then exhale, raising the left knee towards you. Keeping the feet flexed, take the right hand and press the right knee away from you, feeling a nice deep stretch in the right hip. Inhale through the nose, nice, deep, and long, making every breath longer than the last. And on your exhale, pressing the right knee further away from you, using the breath to release any tension. Inhaling through the nose, feeling the air touch the nostrils and follow into the belly, feeling the belly expand, and exhaling, gently pressing that right knee away from you, pressing all the air out, and inhaling once more, letting the belly get large, and then exhaling, drop the left foot to the ground and release the right leg, keeping the knees bent. Inhale through the nose, and then exhale, bringing the left ankle on top of the right knee, remembering to keep the feet active. Grab behind the right thigh, inhale, deepening in the belly, and exhale, bringing the right knee towards you. Press the left knee away with your other hand, feeling a nice deep stretch in the left hip now. Inhale through the nose, nice, deep, and long, making every breath longer than the last. And on your exhale, pressing the left knee further away from you. Again, releasing any tension that you may feel here. 2 more breath cycles. Inhaling through the nostrils, letting the belly get big, and then exhaling, pressing all the air out like a balloon. Inhaling again, letting the belly get big, and then exhaling, letting the diaphragm drop. Drop the right foot to the ground and release the left leg. Let both legs stretch out long. Noticing if you feel any differences in the body. Take a moment to take another breath, inhaling through the nose, letting the diaphragm rise, and then fall on your exhale. Rest your head to one side. Inhale and exhale, cinch your hip points together. Flex your legs and engage your entire body and lift your arms back towards your legs, lifting the chest, strengthening the neck and the entire body, and then releasing, letting the head rest to the other side. Inhale and exhale, breathing into the back body. Starting out in swan pose, also known as baby bird. Pucker the lips forward and then gently tilt the head backwards, extending the bottom jaw as far forward as you can, feeling a nice stretch along the neck, then resting the head back down. Pucker the lips forward and then extending the jaw forward towards the ceiling, Feeling a nice stretch along the neck, and then releasing back down. Next, we're going to kiss the air. So pucker the lips forward and kiss the air a couple times until your lips become tired. Puckering the lips forward and releasing. Doing this a couple more times. Next, we're going to bring resistance into our face. Using our fingers, we're going to interlace our hands together, bringing them under our chin, and raise the elbows towards the ceiling as we drop our jaw, bringing the lips underneath the teeth, and releasing. And one more time, letting the elbows rise towards the ceiling, bringing those lips underneath the teeth, and dropping the jaw. Next, we're going to do wake up. So extending the eyes open as far as you can without moving any other facial muscles, and relaxing. And doing this a couple more times, keeping our eyes from sagging. Next, we're going to do pufferfish exercises. So making a fish face, sucking the cheeks in and pressing the lips forward, and then doing this a couple times until the face becomes tired. And then blowing air into the cheeks, letting the cheeks expand, and then swishing the air back and forth. One cheek, then the other side. Hold that for a few seconds. Bring it into your upper lip, and then your bottom lip, and then swish around in your mouth a little bit more, pushing that air back and forth until your cheeks become tired. Imagine that you're moving mouthwash back and forth. And then making a fish face a couple more times, sucking the cheeks in and then blowing them back out with air. And then releasing, completely resting the face. And taking a couple breaths here. Just completely relaxing all facial muscles. Finishing up this sequence. And stepping the left foot in between the hands, revolving that right foot at an angle, and then bringing the right hand to your hip, revolving the chest forward. And coming into your triangle pose, looking towards the sky and bringing that right hand up, stretching long, engaging in the core, keeping tight, strong, or in rhythm of breath. Bringing the right hand back towards the ground and coming back into your down dog. Stepping the right foot in between the hands, drop the left foot at an angle. Bringing the left hand to the left hip and extending the right leg. Bringing the left hand up towards the sky, keeping the chest open and the core engaged, keeping the spine nice and safe. A nice breath rhythm. Drop the left hand back towards the ground, center the left foot, and then bring the right leg back. We're going to bring our knees at an angle and scoop under your knees with your palms and try to come to your tippy toes. Keeping the core engaged, play around with balancing on each foot. Bringing the right foot up, bringing the left foot up, and dropping each toe to the ground. Keeping the core engaged and maybe bringing both of them just floating off the ground a couple times. And then coming up into the full expression. keeping the core engaged. Or maybe bringing the hands out to the side for a little bit more of a challenge. Or maybe you want to go the extra mile and extend the legs long, keeping engaged in the core. And dropping the feet to the ground. Starting at the top of your mat, roll the shoulders up towards the ears and down the spine, keeping a neutral position in the pelvis, taking nice deep breaths, letting a bend come into the knees, bringing the hands to the thighs and letting them come to the floor, raising the seat towards the sky, and bringing the legs back to the middle of your mat to come into your down dog. Breathing into the back body, letting the shoulder blades slide across the back like wings, bringing a deeper bend into the knees and rocking them back and forth. Bending the right knee, kiss the left and right elbow. And repeat it again, engaging in the core. And we're going to repeat this on the other side, bending the left knee, kissing the right then left elbows, keeping the core engaged. We're going to do a balancing pose, stretching the left leg behind you. Find a balance on the left and right leg, and stretching the right arm in front of you, keeping the core engaged. Holding this posture for a moment, keeping strong in your breath, and lifting that back leg up high as you can. Keeping strong in the breath and releasing back to the ground. And repeat on this other side. Stretch the right leg behind you, keeping balance on the left leg and the right arm, and stretching the left arm in front of you, keeping the core engaged. Raising that right leg up as far as it can go, keeping strong in the breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Each breath is longer than the last. And then releasing to the ground. And sitting the seat back into a child's pose. Breathing into the back body, releasing any tension from the previous movements. And finally resting in our constructive rest pose, keeping the knees bent, the hands on the belly, inhaling through the nose and exhaling even deep, longer breaths. Thank you for joining us today. Bring the left foot in between the hands and drop the right foot at an angle, bringing the hands to the knees and then swooping the right arm up behind you and the left arm extends in front of you, reaching out into your warrior pose. Engaging in the core, really zipping in, letting the hip points cinch together, then dropping the hands back to the thigh and then the ground, bringing the left leg back, coming back in your down dog, then stepping the right foot in between the hands and dropping the back foot at an angle, bringing the hands to the thigh and then swooping the left arm overhead, reaching out, spreading the mat apart with your feet, keeping the core engaged strong, and revolving the chest towards the left side, dropping the hands to the knee and then bringing them to the ground, revolving the left foot to center and then bringing the right foot back, bending in the knees, shaking the head of any tension. Coming to prepare for our side plank, we're going to start on our left side. So sit on your left hip and stretch your legs out long. Bring your left hand underneath you, underneath your shoulder. And find a comfortable position for your feet, bringing your right hand to your hip, pressing the hips up towards the sky, cinching the hip points together and stretching the arm out long. You can find another spot for your feet by bending the knee or placing them in front of each other or stacking them. Bringing the hand down to the ground and dropping the knees and pressing the seat back for a child's pose. Just to rest for a moment as we prepare for the next side. Dropping the right hip to the ground, extending the legs long, bringing the hand underneath the shoulder, pressing the hips up towards the sky and bringing the left hand onto the hip, releasing the hand up towards the sky, stretching long, engaging the core, keeping a strong breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And dropping the hand down to the ground, dropping the knees, and coming back into our child's pose. Taking nice deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Into our down dogs, and then stepping forward towards the top of our mat, bending the knees and reaching the arms out in front of you, engaging the core and sitting back for your chair pose, spreading the feet apart from each other, breathing through the nose and exhaling through the nose and keeping the core engaged. Dropping the hands back to the floor and raising the seat towards the sky, come into your supported child's pose, grabbing it opposite elbows, swaying the weight back and forth. Bend the knees again, sit back in your chair, reach the arms out in front of you, engaging the core, and dropping the hands back down for a forward fold. Coming up slightly, and then dropping back down, and then rising up. We're going to come into our eagle pose now. Stack your right elbow over top of your left and wrap the arms. This is the view from the side. Shifting the weight into your right leg. Start to bend in that right knee and lift the left knee over top of your right leg and wrap the foot around the back. Engaging the core and hinging at the hips to come in deeper into your eagle pose. Breathing strong through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And then coming back up to standing. Repeat on the opposite side, so the left elbow stacks over top of the right elbow and the hands wrap. Shifting the weight into the left leg. Bending in the knee slightly, coming onto the tippy toes, and then wrapping that right leg over top of the left leg. Hinging at the hips slightly, keeping the core engaged. Breathing. Remembering to breathe and keeping the core engaged. Then coming back up to standing. Bringing the left leg behind you to balance. Engage the core and raise the left leg. Keeping straight and strong and lifting a couple times. Keeping the core engaged and dropping the knee back to the ground. Bring the right leg behind you. Engaging the core and raising the right leg, pulsating. Keeping strong, zipping the hip points together, and then dropping the knee back to the ground. And finally, resting in our constructive rest pose, keeping the knees bent, the hands on the belly, inhaling through the nose and exhaling, even deep, longer breaths. Thank you for joining us today. Bending the right knee, kiss the left right elbow, and then kick the leg straight back behind you. Without dropping the leg, continue to kiss the left and right elbow again. Let's try one more time, extending the right leg back, then releasing to the ground, bending in the left knee, kissing the right and left elbow, extending back, repeating again, then one more time, then releasing towards the ground. Coming into a tabletop position, inhale, letting the belly drop for a cat. letting the spine roll, stretching up towards the ceiling, pressing through the arms for our cow position. Inhaling, letting the belly drop and the head rise for the cat. And exhaling, letting the spine roll, pressing up towards the sky, pressing through the arms, stretch, letting the head drop. Inhaling, letting the stomach drop, letting the head rise. Exhaling, letting the back roll and stretching through the arms, and then coming into a neutral position. Coming back onto our tabletop pose again, hands under the shoulders, knees under the pelvis. Bringing the left leg behind you and the right arm up, getting ready for our balancing pose, and then letting the knee and the elbow kiss. Keeping engaged in the core. We're going to do a couple of these. Inhale and exhale, kissing the knee and the elbow together. Inhale and exhale, kissing the knee and the elbow together. And then one more time, and dropping to the ground. Bringing the left arm up and the right foot behind you, lifting them up, stretching long, and then letting the right knee and the left elbow kiss, engaging in the core. Inhaling out and exhaling, letting the knee and the elbow kiss. And then one more time, and then dropping to the ground, pressing back into your child's pose. Breathing into the back body, releasing any stress and tension. Coming down onto your stomach to prepare for your forearm plank. We're going to grasp our hands together to make a fist. So engage in the core, bringing the hip points together and raising the pelvis up to the sky. Pressing the elbows away from each other to gain strength in your back. And then bringing the hips down to the ground, curling the toes under, engaging in the core and pressing the hips up towards the sky. Spreading the elbows away from each other. Just breathing, holding your forearm plank, and dropping down onto your belly. Releasing your head to either side and breathing into your back body. The plank can be challenging for some people, so just listen to your body so that you don't hurt yourself. Let's come to lying on our back. Bring the feet close to the pelvis and relax the shoulders down onto the ground. As we prepare for our bridge pose, drop the hands to the ground, bring the shoulders underneath you, engage in the core and press the hips up towards the sky. Inhaling through the nose, pressing up high, letting the knees come together instead of splaying apart, and dropping the pelvis back towards the ground. We're going to do this a couple more times. So we'll cinch the hip points together and press in through the feet, raising pelvis towards the sky. Letting the shoulder blades be behind you. Feeling a difference in your body. Pressing up towards the sky one more time through the feet, engaging in the glutes, keeping the core engaged and breathing through the nose, and dropping the pelvis back towards the ground. Bringing the left leg behind you to balance, engage the core and raise the left leg. Keeping straight and strong and lifting a couple times, keeping the core engaged and dropping the knee back to the ground. Bring the right leg behind you, engaging the core and raising the right leg, pulsating. Keeping strong, zipping the hip points together, and then dropping the knee back to the ground. And finally, resting in our constructive rest pose, keeping the knees bent, the hands on the belly, inhaling through the nose and exhaling even deep, longer breaths. Thank you for joining us today. Namaste. Starting on your hands and knees, make sure that your knees are hip distance apart. Allow your hands to come one hand width in front of you. Start sliding the hands forward as you rise the pelvis towards the ceiling, coming into puppy pose. Breathing into the back body, embracing the opening of the shoulders. Walk the hands back to the same position that they were in when we put them one handprint in front of us. Curl the toes under and press a seat up into down dog. Step the right foot forward onto the right side of your right hand, about 4 to 5 inches away from your hand. And rest the left knee down. Uncurl the back toes, bending the right knee forward and coming down onto your elbows. You can use a block here if you need to, bringing us into lizard pose. Breathing here into the hip, and then curling the left toes under and stepping the right leg back into down dog. Pressing the pelvis up towards the ceiling. Step the left foot forward on the left side of the left hand, about 4 to 5 inches away from your palm. Drop the right knee and uncurl the toes, bending in the left knee forward, and then resting the elbows on the ground or your block. Make sure the neck is free of any tension, and making sure that the left knee is stacked on top of the left ankle. Breathing into the back body and feeling a nice stretch in the hip. Curling the right toes underneath and stepping the left leg back and pressing the pelvis up to come into down dog. Walking back up towards the top of your mat. Step your left leg about a leg's width behind you. Flex the feet, letting the toes lift. Bring the hands to the hips and slowly bend the torso forward like in a forward fold. Bringing the hands to the leg, or maybe even resting the hands on the ground. Inhale up and exhale, dropping the torso towards the knee for our pyramid pose. Feeling a nice juicy stretch along the hamstring. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Stretching the belly over top of the thigh. Bringing the hands back to the floor and stepping the right leg back into down dog and stepping the legs forward, coming up into mountain. Step the right leg back about a leg's width behind you, inhaling up and exhaling, bending at the waist and bringing the hands to the ground. Inhaling up and exhaling down so that the torso meets the knee. Inhaling back up and bringing that belly over top of the thigh and coming back down so that the head reaches towards the toes. Breathing here. Hands come back down to the ground and the left foot comes behind you as we press back into a down dog. As you step the right foot in front of you, bring the hands up to the knee. The back foot is at an angle. As the hands come over top of the head and touch the back thigh, as the right hand reaches towards the ceiling, keeping the abdominals tight, and then bringing the hands back towards the thigh. Resting the chest on the knee and dropping the head. Taking a rest here in our humble warrior. Taking a nice breath, stepping the right leg back, and pressing our seat up towards the sky, and bringing the left foot in between the hands, bending in the front knee, dropping the right foot at an angle, Bring the hands to the left knee, bending in the knee, swing the arms overhead, and let the right hand rest on the thigh, cinching the abdominals as the left hand stretches towards the ceiling, and then bringing the hands back forward, resting on the left knee, resting the chest, dropping the hands back towards the floor, and resting the head. Breathing into the back body here, and stepping the right foot forward, engaging the abdominals to come up into mountain. Keeping the core engaged, start to bend in the knee, grab the foot, inhale and exhale, keeping the core engaged, start kicking the foot out in front of you. Grab the big toe with your pointer and middle finger, loop it around. As you start to raise your left hand for balance, finding a drishti in front of you, really pressing the fingers into that toe and keeping the core engaged. Bring the foot back in front of you, keeping the core engaged, keeping the left arm up and the right knee bent. Start to hinge at the hips forward as you start to kick the right foot back behind you, keeping strong in the core, and then slowly hinging back up and dropping that right foot back down to the ground. Shifting the weight over onto the right foot, start to bend the left knee around with your pointer finger and your middle finger as you kick the left foot out, keeping strong in the core and bringing the left leg back in front of you, bending the left leg, keeping the right arm overhead as we kick the left leg back behind us, hinging at the hips, to come in half moon on the other side. Keeping the core engaged and keeping strong in this pose, stretching through the hand and the foot, and then slowly hinging back, bending the left knee, and dropping the foot to the ground. Coming onto the ground, we're going to prepare for wheel pose. So laying on our backs, taking a moment to rest from the standing poses that we just did. Bring the feet close to your seat and bring your hands beside your ears. Inhale and exhale, engaging the abdominals and pressing up through the hands and feet to come into wheel pose. Pressing back through the legs and keeping strong through the arms. Feeling a nice stretch along the abdominals and the thighs. And then slowly resting the shoulders and the pelvis back onto the ground. Taking a moment to breathe here. Coming back onto our seat. Keeping the legs bent in front of you. Inhale up. Keeping the crown up towards the ceiling. Dropping the chin towards the chest. And start to tiptoe back. Keeping the abdominals engaged. And finding your balance to lift both legs. And maybe straightening them. Keeping the shoulders down the back. And maybe letting the posture become wider. Releasing the hands to the side and dropping the feet towards the ground. Next, we're preparing for our arm balances. So we're going to come down into a squat, bending forward, putting our hands on the ground. Squatting pretty low and bringing the leg around to step on your hand as the shoulder comes underneath you. Stepping onto the other hand and dropping the seat low to the ground. Keeping the feet on the ground still, walk them towards the center as they intertwine, and maybe pressing through the hands to balance. And then finding your seat, bringing the knees wide and coming into a child's pose. Coming back up into a squat, have both hands about hip distance apart and start to raise the seat up towards the ceiling. Rest your knees into your armpits, slowly starting to rest the weight forward on your arms And without coming off the ground yet, hook your feet in front of you and try to find a balance. And just teeter-tottering back and forth until you can find your balance. And coming back into child's pose to rest for a moment. Coming onto your seat, bring your knees in front of you bent, and let them splay out away from each other, crossing the ankles. We're going to loop the arms through the legs and resting the left inner thigh along the back side of the left arm, and then resting the right hip slightly on the right elbow. And pressing that thigh into the arm, keeping your core engaged as you find your balance. And then slowly coming back into seated, doing it on the other side, remembering that the hand weaves in between the legs. The right inner thigh touches the back of the right bicep. So the hands come down to find a strong foundation, resting some of the weight into your left elbow, pressing the arm and the thigh against each other, into balancing, and then coming seated, and then coming back into a child's pose, breathing into the back body, and slowly walking back up to prepare for flying split. We're going to come onto hands and knees. Start to come forward, resting your weight onto your elbows. Resting the left hip on the elbow, and resting the right leg on the right arm. And coming into your flying split. Slowly resting the left leg back on the ground, and coming into child's pose. Bringing the hands in front of you, hip distance apart. Start shifting the weight forward, bending in the elbows. As you start to support your weight onto your right elbow, shift the left leg, balance onto the left side into your flying split. Slowly resting the right leg back onto the ground and bringing the left leg back behind you and shifting the weight back into the seat to come into child's pose. Coming to the wall, we're going to prepare for headstand. Making a fist with your hands and making a tripod position on the ground. Slowly place your head on the ground, putting your back towards the wall, curling the toes under and pressing up through the legs. Inhale and exhale, engaging the core, and slowly try to find your balance here and coming up to the wall. Pressing up through the heels and keeping the abdominals strong and slowly releasing back to the ground. Trying to remember to keep control and remembering to breathe. And finally coming onto our backs for plow pose. Take a moment here to relax from your headstand. Relaxing the shoulders back underneath the body. Inhale and exhale the knees to the chest. And reach the legs overhead and start to press the feet back behind you, engaging in the core and keeping strong until the toes touch the ground, and releasing the arms to either side, or you can grasp the palms together to open up the shoulders even more. Pressing the pelvis up towards the sky, and then releasing very slowly back towards the ground, keeping the knees bent and releasing the legs long. Coming into Shavasana, inhaling through the nose and letting a breath of fresh air rush over you.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed watching this video. Please click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel and watch more interesting videos.